When trauma is mentioned, what crosses your mind? Is it an earthquake? A storm? And life illness? Or a life-threatening event? Otherwise referred to as major traumas. Which leaves you feeling powerless with deep engraved scars. Dr. Christine Moutier argues that some other significant experiences that appear too insignificant can have negative emotional impact. She refers to them as minor trauma. Their impact can't be overlooked since they affect emotional functionality and our coping ability. Remember, no trauma is lesser. Studies categorize them to ensure an understanding is reached amongst professionals and help in devising the treatment plan and goals for different clients. The minor traumas are alarming since they accumulate and with time erupt as a big psychological issue concern. One of the examples is emotional invalidation. For instance, as an adolescent boy you get injured, and due to the extreme pain you start crying. Then your mother tells, "Hey, men don't cry. Why are you crying?" Dr. Feinberg argues that when one's emotions are invalidated, or one is told some feelings are not called for, it has a cognitive stamp that, "I actually don't care about what you feel," or "you are wrong." When we look at the link between emotion invalidation and childhood and distress as an adult, in a publication on child abuse and neglect, the journal reveals that chronic emotional distress is linked to emotional invalidation as a child. It reveals that emotional constraint in adulthood is linked to childhood emotional invalidation, which can cause a serious psychological distress that presents as depression and anxiety disorders. Number 2. Time-to-time relocation. A child is always familiarized with home, and it acts as a kind of nature and BSP. One can walk at night without fearing, and can even locate anything in the darkness. The familiar marketplaces you shop at, and even friends and family are part of one's life. Brain operates on an autopilot mode, and it familiarizes with places, making one more comfortable in familiar surroundings. Moving means you have to pack up one's entire life and start afresh. If this happens over and over, it ends up traumatizing a child. Yael, a licensed therapist, argues that moving is traumatic and stressful since one loses familiarity. A good example is change of culture, language barrier. It also changes all relationships. You leave your family and friends, causing separation and so on. This changes the emotional attachment one had, creating attachment issues in adulthood. A child whose parents moved frequently finds it hard to get attached in relationships as adults for fear of uncertainty. Over and over yelling. As a child, how do you feel when you have to face your mother's loud voice, her threatening words, and her scary facial expression? Do you still feel threatened in adulthood? Hilary Hendel, a licensed clinical social worker, recounts from her client's story that it felt traumatizing from frequent scolds she received as a child. Josh Sisler, a researcher, highlights that constant scolds impacts one's brain and body in various ways, causing your amygdala, the emotional brain, to be hyperactive, increasing production of stress-inducing hormones in the blood, and this makes your muscle more tense. It also impacts how we feel about ourselves even in adulthood, because the brain reacts according to the previous encounter and how it reacted. Sometimes we hear our parents even in absentia, and in turn we freak out. It's good to note that everyone faces traumatic event in life, but not everyone experiences challenges after the event. If you experience hardships in coping, then you need trauma therapy. Trauma therapy can help you feel more secure and in control when things look like they are getting out of hand. Remember, you can conquer trauma. Let it be part of you, but don't let it define you.